Tinman
Treasures.
Welcome into the channel, guys. My name is Troy. I am a part-time reseller based out of Montana, and it is time for cleaning up. Let me know if you guys like it, if this is something you want to see in the future. It might get a little bit different, might evolve over time, but I wanted to bring you something different, and so we're going to give it a shot today. As I said, I am a part-time reseller, and that means I can't be the first one there. I'm not the second one there either. I've got a day job. And so when we're talking thrift stores, now garage sales, the playing field is balanced a little bit, right? We're all heading out there, getting up early Saturday morning. It's a roll of the dice. We're trying to figure out where to go. The playing field is leveled, or at least way more level on Saturdays. But when we're talking thrift stores, it's not. The full-timers definitely have an edge there. At least here in town, we only have a handful. And so a lot of the full-timers, they're on a circuit. This is their job and they've got the time. So they're in all of our thrift stores 2, 3, 4 times a day. I don't know. They're there a lot. And so every time new stuff is brought out, they're going through the new stuff. And so they're getting the very obvious, very high dollar often items. They see them, they're there often, they're going to find them. They might have been in the store 2 or 3 times before I even got there. And so I wanted to bring you something of, well, what does that mean for us as part-timers? What can we do to still try and make money out of the thrift store? And a lot of it is learning the areas that are not obvious, right? It's not the Bose stereo system that's sitting there in electronics. That's not what we're looking for, because very often we're not going to find that. So we have to do something a little bit different. And so what I do is I tend to look in the areas that they overlook, that they don't look at, that they don't see as valuable. It's not worth their time, right? Because they're looking for the big ticket items. I survive on a lot of smaller ticket items. That's how I make my store run. And then I get those high dollar items to sort of fill gaps, and every once in a while those sell, and it's a great thing. More often than not, I'm selling things for $5, $10, $15, $20. I'm just trying to make up for it in volume. So what we're doing today is looking at one area that I think that people overlook, and one area that I love to sell in, and it's media, specifically DVDs. People a lot of times think, well, it's streaming. We're in a streaming world. It's obsolete. Who cares about DVDs? Not worth my time. Moving on. Next, right? So I went into the thrift store today. I had to drop my daughter off at driver's ed. And so I had a little bit of time to kill before I picked her up. And I thought, rather than going home, sitting there, then turn around and coming back, let's go to the thrift store. And let's go to the thrift store specifically looking for movies. And I went into the thrift store. I didn't shoot any video in there because it was just me scanning through the movies, right? It's not super exciting video. Went in, we went to 2 different stores. I went to Goodwill and then I went to the local thrift store and just looked at movies. And I think we found some winners. We definitely made some money. And I went in at about 1:30 in the afternoon. So, a long time after people have been in there, and we still found money in the thrift store. It's sitting behind me on the table. We're going to go over it, and I'm going to show you on the DVDs, what I picked up. Obviously, we'll tell you what I paid for it, tell you why I picked it up. Why did that particular title draw my eye? And then I'll tell you what I think we can make off of it. So let's look. So we'll start with the smaller pile. This is the stuff that I got from Goodwill. I only got a couple of titles there. This first one is Prehistoric Earth, A Natural History. So why did I pick this up? And it's actually tagged $4.99, which I probably would have paid anyway on this, but we're going to make a little bit better money because I looked at my receipt. He only charged us the standard DVD rate of $1.99. So we actually got this one apparently for cheaper and didn't realize it. Prehistoric Earth, A Natural History. Why did I pick this one up? Well, first off, I saw BBC video. BBC video is often something that I look at. It's something that very often holds value. People can't find that anywhere else. And that's another reason that DVDs are valuable. People can't find some of these things streaming. They're not available. They have to get them on DVD. So Prehistoric Earth, it's a collection. It's got, I don't know how many DVDs are in there, but there's a fair bit of them. And so anything that's a collection that's got multiple DVDs, that's BBC, in this case, dinosaurs, I thought, you know what? It's interesting. Let's look at it. And guess what? There is a barcode on there, guys. And I do not care about standing in a store, or for that matter, standing at a garage sale and scanning a barcode. It's very fast, very easy through the eBay app. It'll tell you how many are listed. You can look at how many then are sold, and you can decide if you want to pick this up. Now, this particular one, I looked, and there are 4 listed and 5 sold. That means more sold than are currently available. This is a movie that is in demand. And it looks like I can sell this for between 15 and 20 bucks. Okay, so not bad there. All right, Gunther and the Paper Brigade. Why did I pick this one up? Well, it looked weird, right? Like it's sitting there on the shelf like this, and you just see Gunther and the Paper Brigade. Had no idea. It just looked awkward. And then, sorry, it's glaring down there. There we go. Families. Films for families. This is probably, I didn't dig into it, but this is probably, look, it came out of Murray, Utah. Feature films for families. My guess is that this is a Mormon company that puts these out. And so, very often religious titles are pretty good. And that's what this one is. And so people can't get them anywhere else. They're relatively rare. Rarity, just like anything else in DVDs and movies, it counts. So this one is brand new and sealed. I looked it up. There are 22 new Gunthers listed. There are 26 of them sold, believe it or not. And they sell anywhere between 15 and 20 bucks. Okay? We paid $1.99. That's a pretty solid return, right? Now this one, Mick Foley, the hardcore edition. This is Mick's greatest hits and misses. Why did I pick this one up? Well, because it's Mick Foley. It's WWE wrestling stuff. Very, very good, guys. Even on VHS, old wrestling stuff can be fantastic. I've made some great money on old wrestling stuff. And so keep an eye out for those sort of things. This, we got the WrestleMania tag down there. That's how you would know that it was wrestling if you didn't know Mick Foley. He's got the logo on the front there as well. WWE, WWF, specifically the older stuff. This, again, is new and sealed. And that's another thing I look for. You can scan across the top and see what's new. And then I pull out the new titles and see what they are and see if they're interesting. That's usually the first thing I do, is scan through and look for something new. Because it's much easier to sell new items. I like those. It's, 2 pictures and you're done. Very quick to list. Mick, there are 4 new listed, 7 new sold, and I ought to get about $15 for that. So we paid $9 at Goodwill for those 3 movies, and we're going to do pretty well. Probably about $45, maybe pushing $50 off of our $9 investment. I'd say that's pretty solid, right? Now let's take a look at this pile, and what did we find at the local thrift but Gunther and the Paper Brigade? So obviously somebody donated these to both places. This one is new, so they is used rather, not new. So they watched this one, but I picked this one out because I picked the other one up and I knew immediately, oh yeah, I just bought that one. So when you buy things, you're going to see things that you bought before and know, hey, those are good. So I looked this one up. There are actually 43 used Gunthers listed. Get this, 45 of them sold. This title sells all the time, guys. It's weird. Never heard of it, but it sells. And used, I ought to be able to get about 10 bucks for that. And I paid on most of these. There you go, $1.50. Most of the movies at the local thrift are $1.50. I paid $14 for all of them for this stack. I picked up the Booth Brothers Gaither Gospel Series, the best of the Booth Brothers. The Gaithers are a Christian music group. Hosted by Bill Gaither there, apparently. And it's new and sealed. That's why I found it, right? As I was looking through new and sealed, then I saw, okay, it's new and sealed and it's religious. So that might be a good thing. And I'm going to look it up. And sure enough, this one, there are, it's not quite as good as the others. There are 9 listed new and 6 sold. So it's not a great sell-through rate like these where there are more of these sold than listed, but it's still pretty good. I mean, it's relatively close to even. Right? So if I price competitively, mine is going to sell relatively quickly, and they sell for between $12 and $15. So that's a pretty solid one. Another one that, you see it sitting here and it looks different, right? This is Seasons of the Heart. And I saw them kind of in this bunch. So that, okay, a lot of times when they're grouped together, they came in together. This is, I think, another religious. Yeah, see, there you go. From the Feature Films for Families DVD. So it's a religious title. Might as well look it up, right? And there are 35 listed. Overall, 29 sold. That's a pretty good sell-through rate, and not a huge winner here. It sells for between $5 and $10, but it does sell, and it's new and sealed, and so that's why I picked it up. Now, what else do I pick up? Or at least what else do I look at? I look at music on DVD, where you're looking at concerts or it's a collection. We sold the Madonna collection of her music videos, sold for really good money. So anything that's music related, I tend to at least take a second look at. And this is the Temptations Motown, and it's new, it's sealed. It checked a lot of boxes, and looked this thing up. And this one is going to sell very fast. There are 3 new versions of this listed, and there are 17 sold for between $20 and $25. This is one of our better pickups, and it's going to sell, like I said, very, very quickly. And on that same theme, spit those words out, Luther Vandross. This is live at Wembley. I thought this one would be worth a little bit more than it was, but it was still worth picking up, I think. The sell-through rate on this one is not great, but it's new. And so I like picking up, like I said, new stuff. And when you've got winners like that, you can take a flyer on something like this, and it's only $1.50. So if it takes a while to sell, it's no big deal. You didn't have a lot of money into it, and it's just sitting in a bin, not taking up much room at all. You can fit a lot of movies in a bin, so why not take a flyer on a few now and again? At least that's how I do it. So Luther Vandross, there are 21 listed and 9 sold. Not a great sell-through, guys, but for $1.50, I'm going to add that to the pile. It's another listing in the store. Now, this one is not new. See it on the side there. It's sitting on the shelf. This property is condemned. And, it's got sort of the Hallmark Channel looking picture there at the top. I pulled it out because it looked random. It looked, like something that probably isn't on Amazon Prime, right? Like somebody's not going to be able to get. And sure enough, this movie is out of print. You can't get this anymore. Natalie Wood and Robert Redford. So this is not going to be sitting on the shelf at Walmart. It's rare. It's got 2 name people in it. It's worth looking up. And guess what? There are 11 used titles listed. There are 34 used titles sold, anywhere between $10 and $15 free shipping. So not a huge winner, but again, $1.50. And we're looking at this as a pile of money, not individual items. I like to look at everything as a pile, and we'll go over the totals when we get back. Now, this, actually one of our better ones, along with the Temptations, this is probably the good one here. The complete 5th season of Wind at My Back. I have never heard of this, and that is why I looked it up. I like looking at seasons. Complete series are often very, very good, but seasons can be good, especially if it's something random. And this one, I think, is. Catherine Greenwood, Dylan, I don't even know any of these people. This is a random series, but it got to at least 5 seasons. So, it must have been okay, right? I don't know. It's got 4 discs in there. I don't know anything about it, but they did charge up on it a little bit, $3. I looked it up because guess what? Yep, there's a barcode. And there are 4 that are used listed, or maybe it's 4 overall. I think it's 4 overall listed. I didn't divide it into used and new. So 4 of these listed, 7 of them sold. Looking at the cheapest available, $35. So we put ours out there at $30, undercut the competition, and we're going to be the first one to sell. We just are. With 1-day shipping and the cheapest price available, we're going to sell this for $30 unless somebody else comes in and undercuts me. This one will pay off both stores by itself. even after I take out fees. And so this one I mentioned, sometimes take a swing. I took a swing on this one, and it's probably going to sit for a while. I maybe should have left this one, but Big Apple, the DVD edition, there are actually no solds of this in the last 90 days. Why would you pick up something that has no solds? Well, it was only $2, and the cheapest available right now is $24. So same thing like wind at my back, right? Like, so if I make this one the cheapest available because I only paid $2 for it, if I make this a $20 item, if it sells at some point, mine is going to be the one to sell. There's only 7 of them, so it's relatively rare on eBay, right? So relative rarity and the cheapest available, mine will sell if somebody decides to buy it. So that's why we got Big Apple. So what do you look for when you're picking up DVDs? Well, like I said, you look for stuff that's new, right? You look for stuff that you've never heard of before, complete series, wrestling specifically, something to look out for. Old horror. We didn't mention that one. I didn't find any, but horror is very often very good. Now, sometimes the more modern stuff that they made a ton of, that's not great, right? Just like anything else that they made a ton of. But the older horror, even on VHS or especially on VHS, the stuff that's the B-movie schlocky stuff that never made it onto even DVD, that can be really good. And even the titles that or again, especially the titles that like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, those type of movies, it's a cult following, right? And so often those will sell very, very well. So they're at least worth your time to look up. And that's another key. When you're looking at these, scan the UPC code. Take some time, scan through them, and you're going to find some winners very often. And the more you do it, just like anything else, you get more familiar with it. You're going to pull stuff, you're going to scan stuff that you go, and put it right back on the shelf. You're going to grab something and think it's a sure winner and scan it and go, really? Oh. And the longer you do it, the better you're going to get at it. You're going to get to the point where you can just sort of scan the shelf and see if there's anything you should pull out, or if you're just going to walk on by and leave stuff behind. That's just the nature of the game. So you get better by doing. And I hope that this has been a little bit beneficial anyway, of seeing some of the stuff that I pull, hearing some of the reasoning behind why I pull it. So what about the money, right? Because it all comes down to the dollars and cents at the end. And so let's look at that. I spent $23, $9 at one store, $14 at the next. So looking at what I haven't listed any of these yet, but I have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to list them at based on what the comps are or what the availables are. And so that is $170. Now, you do have to take out fees. People are going to go, oh, you got to take out all the eBay fees. Okay, let's take out the eBay fees. That leaves us at $148. Now, you have to subtract what you spent, right? We spent 23, so now we're down to, roughly $125. Let's just call it for easy math. It's like $124, $125 after we take out fees, after we take out our initial buy cost. Let's take out the 5 cents that we spent in gas to drive store to store, right? I mean, you can get nitpicky, but basically we spent $23 and we're going to get a net profit of somewhere around $125. So that's pretty good, right? I mean, you're not going to get rich off of doing this. Now, you are going to time find some much better movies that are worth $40, $50, $60. I've done it. But more often than not, this is the type of stuff that you're going to find. And so individually, yeah, they're selling for 10 and 12 bucks. It's not huge, right? But we're making ballpark $125 profit off of, 45 minutes of thrifting. That's not bad, right? So there are avenues out there for you to take if you're a part-timer, if you have limited time to get to the thrift store. There are areas that are going to be overlooked. Now, your thrift store is going to be different than my thrift store. Maybe you got a lot of people that buy media there, but maybe they don't buy shoes, or maybe they don't look at plush. Maybe whatever it is, there are areas of your thrift store that are overlooked. And so it's all about you learning what's overlooked so that you can clean up what they left behind. Thanks for joining us today, guys. I sure appreciate it. I hope there was something valuable in here for you. If there was a thumb up, that if people say thumbs up, you can only leave one. So give me a thumb up at the at the bottom of the video screen here. That certainly helps us. It helps trigger the YouTube algorithm, and so does leaving a comment. So if you leave a comment down below, that helps YouTube. Says, hey, people like this video, they're talking about it, and they suggest it to more people, and that's what helps us grow. And we have been growing. We're up past 5,200 subscribers now, which is incredible. Thanks to each and every one of you who support the channel. If you want to get a hold of us, my contact information is down below, along with link to the Buy Me a Coffee thing and the merch store. So don't ask that you go into either of those, but do ask that you do the thumb thing if this video helped you out at all. I appreciate you. See you next time.